Welcome, gentle listener, to Sleepy Historian, where the quiet rhythms of history guide us into calm, restful slumber. Tonight, we will wander softly through the lives of medieval kings and queens, exploring the whispers, thoughts, and routines that preceded their nightly rest. If the sound of slow, measured storytelling brings you a sense of comfort, feel free to like this video, subscribe if it truly soothes your mind, and share in the comments where you're listening from and what time it is. It is oddly reassuring to know others are drifting towards sleep alongside the same ancient tales. Tonight, we will immerse ourselves in boring history for sleep, allowing the mundane, daily rituals of medieval royalty to soothe your senses. Imagine yourself in the quiet corridors of a stone castle, the flicker of candlelight casting soft shadows on tapestries, the scent of polished wood and parchment thick in the air. This is falling asleep to boring history, where soft-spoken stories of long ago provide the gentle rhythm for your own rest. Throughout our journey, we will share calm bedtime, storytelling, and relaxing history to fall asleep to, with subtle explorations of royal routines, whispered court intrigues, and the quiet solitude of palace life. Even if your mind drifts away from the narration, the cadence of these words is designed to carry you gently forward, much like a soft lullaby of the past. For fans of Roman history, archaeology, and calm narration, you may notice the echoes of older empires in the medieval nights, a constant thread of human habit and ritual across centuries. Tonight's narrative is measured and unhurried. You are invited to simply breathe and listen. As we begin, dim the lights, settle into a comfortable position, and allow the soft echoes of history to unfold. Let the minds of medieval kings guide you, their whispered prayers and quiet musings illuminating the calm moments before sleep. This is your time, your passage into a world where the daily struggles, triumphs, and routines of the past are transformed into gentle lullabies. So let us begin. Let the castle corridors stretch before you. Let the flicker of the candlelight dance across stone walls. And as the stories of kings and queens drift through your mind, allow your own thoughts to soften, relax, and release. Tonight, history becomes your companion. The whispers of medieval nights, the soft rituals before slumber, and the quiet cadence of bygone lives will carry you toward a restful, untroubled sleep. Imagine, if you will, a medieval morning within the walls of a great castle. The first rays of sunlight pierce through narrow, arched windows, brushing softly against the cold stone floors. The air is still, filled with a faint scent of wood smoke, lingering from the hearths that had kept the chambers warm through the long night. Outside, the castle courtyard begins to stir with gentle footsteps, the soft clatter of leather soles against worn cobblestones. Horses shift in their stables, their quiet snorts and rustling hooves a calm accompaniment to the awakening day. Life within these fortifications was rhythmical and measured. Servants moved quietly, their robes brushing against the stone corridors, carrying water, fresh linens, or baskets of bread and porridge. You can almost hear the subtle creak of hinges as doors open to reveal sun-drenched courtyards, where morning mist still clung lightly to the grass. The kitchens hummed with a gentle cadence, the chopping of vegetables, the occasional hiss from pots of simmering broths, and the soft splash of water in preparation for the day's meals. Even in this activity, there was a quiet dignity. Royal mornings began slowly. Kings and queens would rise with the sun, often attended by a small retinue of trusted aides. Their dressing was a careful, deliberate process, involving richly embroidered robes, layers of fine linen, and occasionally the scent of fragrant oils applied to hands and hair. The ritual of dressing was as much about preparation for the day as it was about comfort, a subtle acknowledgement of the day's responsibilities. Imagine yourself observing a king seated on a high-backed chair, a handmaid adjusting the folds of a robe, sunlight catching gold embroidery in a warm, soft shimmer. Breakfast, when it occurred, was simple yet methodical. Thick bread, soft cheeses, perhaps a bowl of porridge sweetened with honey if it were available, were consumed in near silence, the murmur of conversation restrained by the formality of the setting. Even the act of drinking, carefully lifting cups of watered wine or herb-infused tea, was performed with an unhurried precision. The world beyond the castle walls might have been turbulent, but inside, a rhythm of gentle, repetitive motions allowed both rulers and attendants to orient themselves within the quiet sanctuary of stone and timber. The castle's layout itself reflected this measured cadence. Narrow spiral staircases, long corridors, and secluded chambers encouraged slow movement. The sound of one's own footsteps echoed faintly, reminding those inside of the stillness that dominated life within the walls. In these corridors, messages were delivered in hushed tones, doors were closed softly, and the rustle of pages turning in a library provided a subdued soundtrack for the early hours. Imagine yourself tracing the line of the wall with your fingers, feeling the slight unevenness of centuries-old stone, sensing the lives that moved through these spaces long before you. Outside, the castle gardens unfolded as quiet pockets of calm. Herbs, flowers, and neatly trimmed hedges offered a subtle fragrance, mingling with the earthy scent of damp soil. Birds flitted from branch to branch, their gentle chirps punctuating the otherwise tranquil environment. Courtiers and attendants often took early strolls here, their robes brushing lightly against the grass, speaking softly if at all. The gardens were both practical and serene, providing vegetables and medicinal herbs for the castle kitchens, while also offering a space of reflection and gentle motion. As the day progressed, the rhythm of castle life continued in measured cycles. Workshops and stables engaged in quiet labor. Scribes and scholars moved among libraries and chambers, and the distant sound of hammers on armor or wood was softened by the stone walls. Even leisure was tempered with decorum. Board games played with deliberate movements, small music performances at a gentle volume, or quiet storytelling in some of the halls. Every activity was conducted with a sense of order, a pace that encouraged mindfulness and calm, rather than urgency or stress. In these early hours, before the demands of councils or visitors arrived, there was a rare tranquility. Imagine walking slowly through a sun-dappled hall, hearing the faint echo of your own breathing, noticing the intricate tapestries that depicted distant hunts, far-off lands, or tales of ancestors. The texture of the woven threads, the muted colors, the subtle play of light across the fabric, all contributed to a sense of gentle continuity, linking the past and present in a comforting embrace. Here, in these quiet routines, the castle and its inhabitants existed in a balance between duty and peace, a rhythm of life designed to carry one steadily through the day. And so, the castle awoke not with a clamor, but with a soft, continuous hum of life. Every footstep, every whispered instruction, every turning of a page became part of a tapestry of calm. The mundane, yet enduring, details of daily existence formed the foundation of this tranquil world, where even a king, with all his authority and power, moved through the day guided by quiet routines, delicate rituals, and the gentle unfolding of time. As you listen, let yourself drift alongside these measured movements. Let the soft sounds of medieval life, the gentle brushing of robes against stone, the muted light filtering through narrow windows, carry your thoughts into a realm where history and rest intertwine. In this space, even the weight of responsibility can dissolve, leaving only the slow, comforting rhythm of life as it once was. As the morning settles into early afternoon, imagine the castle transforming into a quiet orchestra of subtle movement. The corridors, previously bathed in soft sunlight, now carry the gentle warmth of the day. Shadows stretch across stone floors, flickering slightly with the movement of curtains in drafty chambers. The air is filled with the muted scent of parchment, polished wood, and the faint aroma of herbs that have been gathered and laid to dry. Outside, the distant clatter of the blacksmith's hammer resonates faintly, softened by walls of stone. Inside, The lives of those who serve and dwell in the castle continue with measured precision. The kitchen hums with the steady rhythm of preparation, the chopping of vegetables, the rolling of dough, the simmering of stews, all punctuated by the soft hiss of water meeting heated metal. The clatter of ceramic bowls and wooden spoons is never loud, merely a background cadence to daily life. Imagine standing just beyond the doorway, observing a cook carefully tending a bubbling pot, her hands moving deliberately and confidently, each motion a quiet reassurance of routine and order. For the royalty, afternoons often bring a blend of business and leisure. A king or queen might convene a small council, seated in a sunlit chamber where maps are spread across oak tables. Their attendants move quietly, delivering scrolls and messages with minimal disturbance, a practiced choreography of service that honors both duty and serenity. Even discussions, though filled with weighty decisions, are conducted with careful consideration, voices steady and restrained, echoing softly in the high ceilings. You can imagine the subtle exchange of words, the scratch of quills on parchment, the rustle of documents turning, each sound part of the gentle rhythm that guides life within these stone walls. Education and culture also occupy a quiet space in this time of day. Young nobles may be taught reading, writing, and arithmetic by tutors who speak in calm, unhurried tones. They trace letters in sand or on parchment, the tactile sensation grounding their learning, connecting thought and hand. Music may enter through the halls, soft notes of a lute or harp drifting like a breeze, blending with the distant murmur of conversations or the occasional clink of armor being polished. Imagine a student carefully plucking at a harp string, the note lingering, almost as if suspended in the still air, while a teacher guides their fingers with patience and gentle encouragement. In the quieter chambers, there is also time for reflection. Kings and queens often retreat briefly to personal spaces, where leather-bound books, small devotional objects, or trays of herbs offer comfort and focus. They may sit beside a window, watching the courtyard below, noting the movement of attendants or the gentle sway of trees in the wind. The tactile experience of handling a book, the soft texture of paper, the weight of its cover, and the faint scent of ink create an intimate connection with the day's rhythm. Imagine yourself in such a room, the sunlight soft against your skin, a gentle breeze carrying distant sounds from the garden, and a deep sense of calm settling over the scene. Even mundane tasks provide a form of quiet meditation. The polishing of armor, the folding of garments, the careful sharpening of quills, all are acts that encourage focus, rhythm, and attention to detail. Each gesture, repeated with practiced hands, forms a continuous loop of motion and mindfulness. Imagine watching a servant carefully polish a bronze candlestick until it gleams, the subtle reflections of light dancing across the room, each movement slow, deliberate, almost hypnotic in its consistency. As the afternoon wanes, the castle adopts a more contemplative atmosphere. Shadows grow longer across stone floors, and the sunlight becomes warmer, more golden. The garden paths are quieter, the birds less active, as if pausing to rest themselves. Courtiers stroll slowly, or perhaps sit under the shade of a tree, exchanging soft words or simply enjoying the peace. In the library, a scholar might lean over a manuscript, turning pages slowly, absorbing knowledge at a gentle pace. The subtle creak of the chair, the whisper of parchment, the occasional sigh of the wind through an open window, all blend into a calming symphony, almost imperceptible yet deeply grounding. Through these hours, the castle is alive, yet in a soft, controlled manner. Every movement, every sound, every small task contributes to a larger rhythm, a delicate balance between activity and calm. Here, history is not defined by grand battles or sweeping events, but by the quiet persistence of daily life, the repeated patterns of work, study, and reflection that carry both the powerful and the humble through their days. As you listen, allow yourself to follow this rhythm, letting the gentle cadence of medieval life wash over your mind. slow your thoughts, and guide you toward a state of peaceful relaxation. As afternoon gently shifts toward evening, imagine the castle settling into a slower, more reflective rhythm. The sunlight softens, painting long, golden streaks across stone floors and rich tapestries. The distant clatter of workshops and stables diminishes, replaced by the subtle murmur of footsteps echoing along quiet corridors. The scent of warmed wood, fading herbs, and lingering smoke from the kitchen mingles with the cooling evening air, creating a sense of gentle transition from the activity of day toward the serenity of night. Evening meals are calm affairs. Tables are set with care. Wooden platters, simple earthenware, and vessels polished to a muted sheen. Food is served in measured portions: stews, roasted vegetables, fresh bread, or perhaps a small piece of meat if it has been spared for the day. Conversation is soft, deliberate, almost contemplative, each exchange guided by courtesy and restraint. Picture yourself seated quietly in the hall, watching shadows stretch across stone walls, feeling the rhythm of measured voices and the soft scrape of utensils on plates. The meal itself becomes a meditation on the day's events, a gentle reflection on the passing hours. As twilight deepens, the castle's inhabitants shift to more private routines. Royals retreat to chambers, attended by a select few, their movements quiet and precise. Candles are lit, their warm glow offering both light and comfort, and the flickering flames create a dance of shadows that soften the hardness of stone walls. Personal rituals begin. Letters are read or written with careful attention, prayers or meditations are offered, and small acts of grooming provide both preparation for sleep and a moment of solitude. Imagine a queen delicately braiding her hair by candlelight, her expression calm, her hands moving with deliberate patience, while the soft flicker casts gentle patterns on the surrounding walls. Children, both of noble and servant households, are guided toward evening routines. Tutors may read softly, songs are whispered, and games are paused for reflection and rest. The faint scent of ink and parchment mingles with dried herbs, while the subtle sounds of pages turning or soft lullabies from caretakers create a soothing auditory backdrop. Even in these moments of learning and play, the pace is deliberate, designed to bring the mind toward calm and the body toward rest. Courtiers and attendants, too, prepare for the quiet of night. Tasks are completed with gentle precision, sweeping floors, tending to fires, or arranging garments and linens. Every action, repeated over centuries, follows an unspoken rhythm, a choreography that balances service with a serene atmosphere. The castle hums, not with urgency, but with the quiet assurance of care taken, of routines observed, of a world slowly turning toward rest. Imagine walking along a corridor lined with torch sconces, the soft glow illuminating your path, every shadow and texture inviting stillness. Evening reflections extend to the outdoors. The courtyard, now dimmed, holds the lingering warmth of the sun, while the garden is bathed in a cool, silver light under the rising moon. A few birds call softly from the hedges, their songs subdued and brief, mingling with the distant rustle of leaves. Attendants may wander briefly, tidying or pausing to breathe, the world outside echoing the calm within. The gentle symmetry of hedges, the faint scent of herbs, and the smooth path beneath one's feet all contribute to a sense of order and tranquility. Night approaches slowly, accompanied by subtle sounds. The whisper of wind through the towers, the muted footsteps of a lone servant, the distant lowing of cattle, or the soft shuffle of horses settling in stables. The castle, a structure that once thrived on activity and vigilance, now hums with quiet continuity. Life has not ceased, but it has slowed, allowing space for contemplation, rest, and gentle preparation for the night. You may imagine yourself walking through an empty hall, the warmth of candlelight brushing your skin, the faint smell of smoke and polished wood lingering, each moment stretching calmly before the coming darkness. In these evening hours, history feels close yet comforting. The small, repeated gestures of daily life, lighting candles, turning pages, arranging linens, pausing to observe the courtyard, remind us that the rhythms of existence are often quiet and enduring. Even kings, wielders of power and guardians of vast domains, move through these final hours with deliberate care, guided by routine, reflection, and the subtle comforts of home. As you listen, allow your own breathing to slow in tandem, your thoughts softening, your mind drifting gently into the quiet spaces of both castle and imagination. Thus, the daily life of medieval royalty, once so structured and precise, becomes a gentle lullaby. The corridors, chambers, kitchens, and gardens all merge into a tapestry of soft activity, measured routines, and comforting predictability. Through these small details, we glimpse not only the lives of those long past, but also the calming patterns that can guide us into rest, making the world of stone and sunlight, shadow and candlelight, a companion to our own journey towards sleep. As the quiet corridors of castle life settle into memory, let us now turn our attention to a single life within these stone walls, a life that, though centuries old, speaks softly to the rhythm of our own slumbering hours. Imagine, if you will, King Alaric II, a ruler whose days were measured not only by decisions of state, but also by the intimate routines that preceded the night. His reign, gentle in pace, yet firm in duty, reflects the interplay between public responsibility and private reflection. King Alaric rose each morning in a chamber carefully arranged for both utility and comfort. The bed was large, covered in thick linens and furs, the scent of lavender tucked between the sheets to encourage calm. His attendants moved silently, drawing back heavy curtains to admit the morning light, or laying out the day's garments with meticulous care. Imagine the faint gleam of polished leather, the subtle shimmer of embroidery, the soft brush of fabric as the king adjusted each layer with deliberate calm. Even in these simple acts, there was an elegance of routine that spoke of centuries of habit and expectation. Alaric's days were filled with both ceremony and solitude. Morning audiences were conducted in chambers lined with tapestries depicting scenes of past triumphs or ancestral lore. Courtiers spoke in hushed tones, their words carefully chosen, echoing faintly against stone walls. The king listened attentively, responding with measured gestures or a gentle word, never raising his voice unnecessarily. The rhythm of dialogue, of parchment turned and seals impressed, created a subtle music of statecraft, one that flowed steadily alongside the more intimate cadence of his private life. Meals were deliberate, consumed at a slow pace, reflecting not indulgence, but a mindful engagement with sustenance. Thick bread, cheeses, seasonal fruits, and the occasional roasted meat were savored in quiet observation of those around him. The gentle clink of utensils and soft exhalations of contentment were the only sounds accompanying the meal. As you imagine yourself at the edge of the hall, the light catching gilded details on the table and walls, you might sense the serenity that comes from order and routine, the quiet satisfaction of life conducted with care. The king's private hours were often spent in reflection or study. A small library, tucked away behind carved wooden doors, contained scrolls, illuminated manuscripts, and maps of both neighboring lands and distant territories. Here, Alaric would sit alone, candlelight flickering across pages, his hand tracing the text or the contours of illustrations. The smell of parchment and ink mingled with the faint aroma of the candle wax. It was in these moments that he prepared not only for decisions of the day, but also for the stillness of night. Imagine the king's silhouette, hunched slightly over a scroll, the soft glow of candlelight highlighting his focused expression, the world outside muted and distant. Evenings were guided by quiet rituals. Before sleep, Alaric often performed small acts of devotion or reflection, kneeling beside a carved prayer bench or whispering meditative thoughts into the stillness of his chamber. The world beyond the castle could be tumultuous, yet in these private moments, the king found calm and clarity. Imagine the gentle movement of candle flames reflecting in polished armor placed nearby, or the faint rustle of embroidered curtains, each subtle sound contributing to a sense of quiet preparation for rest. Alaric's life, while marked by responsibility and the occasional pressures of rulership, also contained moments of simple human experience. He would watch the garden from a high window as courtiers moved silently among paths, or note the changing seasons in the tapestries and embroidered panels of his chambers. Each small observation, each gentle pause, became a thread woven into the fabric of his days, a delicate balance between duty and the quiet pleasures of existence. In observing King Alaric, we glimpse not just the public role of a medieval monarch, but also the private rhythms that defined his evenings and nights. There's a profound stillness in imagining him preparing for sleep, the layers of history softening into familiar human patterns, the brushing of hair, the careful folding of robes, the quiet reflection on a day concluded. His life, though distant in time, resonates with the same calming routines that guide our own passage into rest. As you listen, allow yourself to accompany him into these private hours, to feel the calm of stone walls, flickering candlelight, and the soft texture of furs and fabrics. Let the deliberate pace of Alaric's day, the measured rhythm of his duties and rituals, carry your thoughts into gentle reflection, bridging the distance between centuries and preparing your mind to drift toward the tranquility of evening and sleep. As evening drifts deeper, let us wander alongside King Alaric as he prepares for the quieter, more personal moments of his life. Moments that history seldom records, but that reveal the gentle rhythm of human experience. The castle, once alive with measured activity, now embraces a tranquil hush. Corridors echo faintly with distant footsteps, the soft shuffle of attendants tending to last evening tasks, and the gentle whisper of wind passing through narrow windows. Each sound is softened by the heavy stone walls, creating a cocoon of calm. Alaric's evening often began with reflection on the day's events. He might sit near a small hearth, where a gentle fire casts a warm glow and a soft crackle accompanies the otherwise quiet chamber. Scrolls and letters lie on a nearby table, their ink slightly faded, the words deliberate in their cadence. Imagine the king tracing the lines of text with a thoughtful finger, absorbing the day's news in silence. The world beyond the walls may have been uncertain, yet in these moments, time itself seems to slow, the weight of decision tempered by ritual and focus. Music, too, played a quiet role in the evenings. A harpist or a gentle singer might offer a few notes, low and calming, their melody weaving through the high stone ceilings. The king would listen, eyes closed, allowing the subtle harmonies to blend with the faint scent of lavender or rosemary, the warmth of the fire, and the soft rustle of curtains stirred by a night breeze. Imagine yourself seated in the shadowed corner of the chamber, feeling the vibrations of a harp string resonate softly in the air, the gentle cadence of music harmonizing with the rhythm of your own breathing. At times, the king would take brief walks through the castle's quieter spaces. The corridors, now bathed in moonlight, reveal textures and shadows unnoticed during the day. The polished floors glimmer faintly, and the tapestries appear almost alive, their threads casting soft, intricate patterns in the candlelight. Each step is slow and measured, a deliberate rhythm guiding both mind and body toward calm. Imagine following him silently, the faint echo of his footsteps the only movement in an otherwise still castle, every wall and archway contributing to the meditative calm of evening. Evenings were also moments of personal conversation. Close advisors or trusted attendants might sit nearby, sharing quiet observations or gentle counsel. Words were carefully chosen, often spoken in tones low and deliberate, a counterpoint to the louder proclamations of the day. The cadence of these conversations mirrors the rhythm of the castle itself, unhurried, restrained, and deliberate. The listener may picture a king nodding slowly, listening with quiet focus, each interaction a soft pulse in the larger heartbeat of nightly routine. Before sleep, rituals of grooming and preparation were undertaken with care. Alaric's attendants would brush his hair, wash his hands and face, and lay out garments for the night. The king might apply soothing oils, the scent subtle and calming, the texture gentle on skin worn from both thought and duty. Each movement is deliberate, almost meditative, reinforcing the rhythm of transition from wakefulness to rest. Picture the calm interplay of hand and fabric, the flicker of candlelight across polished surfaces, the soft warmth of a chamber prepared for the night. As the king finally approached his bedchamber, there was a pause, a moment to observe the space, and the day now concluded. The bed, draped in thick linens and furs, invites rest. Candles are extinguished or left to flicker softly, shadows dancing gently across the walls. The quiet of the castle, the faint aroma of herbs and parchment, the soft textures of fabric and wood, all combine to create a cocoon of calm. Imagine the king lying down, the weight of the day lifted, the rhythm of the castle mirrored in his breathing, the gentle cadence of history itself offering a lullaby for mind and body. In these personal evening routines, we glimpse the private life of a medieval king, a life measured in small, deliberate actions rather than grandeur or spectacle. It is here, in the quiet intimacy of reflection, music, conversation, and ritual, that history feels near yet soothing. Each subtle detail, the flicker of a candle, the soft rustle of fabric, the careful turning of a page, invites the mind to follow along, to relax, and to prepare for rest. As you listen, let yourself drift alongside Alaric, absorbing the calm of his evening, the gentle rhythms of his castle, and the serene passage from day into night. As night deepens across the castle, imagine King Alaric finally alone in his private chamber, a space where history and human rhythm converge in quiet intimacy. The heavy curtains are drawn against the cool night air, and the flickering candlelight casts soft, dancing shadows upon the stone walls. Outside, the castle grounds are still, the faint rustle of leaves or distant call of an owl the only acknowledgement of a world beyond these protective walls. Within this space, Alaric moves with calm deliberation, each gesture measured and unhurried, as though time itself has slowed to match the rhythm of his breathing. The king's evening rituals are simple yet deliberate. He smooths the blankets over his bed, the thick linens and furs soft beneath his hands, exuding a faint, comforting scent of lavender and beeswax. Attendants, now few and silent, perform the last of their duties, extinguishing candles along corridors, adjusting cushions, and ensuring the chamber is prepared for uninterrupted rest. Imagine yourself observing the careful choreography, the serene efficiency of hands that move with gentle purpose, the faint glow of candlelight illuminating textures and patterns that speak of centuries of quiet craftsmanship. Alaric may spend a final few moments in reflection, seated in a high-backed chair near his window. The moonlight pours softly through narrow panes, painting the chamber with silvered patterns. Here, he contemplates the day, decisions weighed, minor triumphs noted, small human interactions remembered. The parchment and ink remain nearby, untouched now, the tools of state temporarily set aside for the personal rhythm of stillness. The king's thoughts are quiet, private, almost meditative, echoing the gentle cadence of the castle itself. Imagine a hush that fills the chamber, a stillness that invites even the mind of the listener to slow and soften. Music sometimes accompanies this solitude, a soft pluck of a lute string, a whispered song drifting from a nearby corridor. The sound is deliberate, unhurried, gentle in tone, offering a soothing complement to the visual and tactile environment of the chamber. Each note resonates with the warmth of the room, mingling with the faint scent of herbs and the cool stone of the walls. You may picture yourself sitting quietly in the corner, absorbing the calm vibrations of string against wood, the harmony aligning with your own breathing and easing your thoughts into serenity. Even the act of preparation for sleep is a meditation. Alaric's attendants lay out garments for the night, smooth the furs, and ensure that the bedding is perfectly aligned. Oils are applied with care, hands moving slowly, deliberately, each gesture echoing centuries of ritualized care. The candlelight flickers over the folds of fabric and the polished wood of the furniture, creating subtle movements of shadow and light that mimic the gentle rise and fall of breath. Imagine the tactile sensations, the softness of furs, the smoothness of polished wood, the faint warmth of lingering sunlight slowly replaced by moonlight, all inviting a gradual surrender to rest. In these quiet moments, the king's life, so public in many respects, becomes profoundly intimate. The rhythms of power give way to the rhythms of human experience. Reflection, sensory awareness, small acts of care, and the final, deliberate gestures of preparation for sleep. Even the stone walls of the chamber seem to participate, holding the echoes of centuries of similar evenings, whispering a lullaby of continuity and calm. Finally, Alaric lies down, the weight of the day gently lifted by ritual and routine. The castle itself breathes around him. The faint settling of stone, the distant drip of water, the soft rustle of a curtain stirred by a night breeze. Here, in this combination of sensory detail, measured routine, and reflective solitude, history becomes a gentle companion to sleep. The quiet of the night, the subtle cadence of life slowed, and the tactile comforts of the chamber create a cocoon for rest. As you listen, let the deliberate movements of King Alaric guide your own mind toward relaxation, allowing the centuries-old rhythms of castle life to ease you toward the calm, restorative space of sleep. Through this glimpse of a king's private life, we see that history is not always marked by grand battles or dramatic intrigue. Sometimes, it is the quiet repetition of rituals, the gentle attention to daily detail, and the soft interplay of light, shadow, and human presence that carries the deepest sense of continuity and calm. In these moments, the past whispers softly to the present, inviting your mind to settle and your body to follow, resting in the serene embrace of medieval nights long past. As we leave the private chambers and quiet evenings of King Alaric behind, let us now wander beyond the familiar corridors of stone and fire into the hidden corners of medieval history, corners steeped in mystery, subtle intrigue, and the quiet revelations of archaeology. Imagine yourself stepping gently through the ancient ruins of a long-abandoned keep, where sunlight flickers through partially crumbled walls and dust motes drift lazily in beams of light. The air carries a faint, earthy scent of damp stone and moss, a delicate perfume of age, history, and the whispers of centuries past. In these ruins, the traces of daily life linger like soft echoes. Broken pottery, worn tools, and fragments of carved stone hint at the routines and rhythms of those who once moved quietly through these spaces. Archaeologists, speaking in hushed tones, carefully brush away layers of soil, revealing subtle details of medieval existence. Imagine the slow uncovering of a small, decorative comb, its carved teeth smoothed by countless hands over decades, or a fragment of a manuscript, ink faded yet still faintly visible, telling stories of learning, devotion, and human thought long ago. Each discovery is a quiet window into lives that were at once ordinary and extraordinary in their persistence. Among these discoveries are items that invite speculation and curiosity. A carefully sealed jar, perhaps once containing herbs or spices, evokes the intimate domestic life of its owner, while a discarded arrowhead or small coin hints at journeys, trade, or distant conflicts. These artifacts, though silent, speak volumes if we approach them with patience and attentiveness. Imagine yourself crouched near a carefully excavated corner, the brush moving slowly over soil, uncovering small treasures with delicate, precise gestures. Each fragment carries the weight of a story, a whisper of a life quietly lived and now softly remembered. Medieval culture, too, reveals itself in subtle ways through these archaeological traces. The arrangement of a garden, revealed through patterns of stone, edging, or remnants of flower beds, speaks to aesthetic choices, leisure, and contemplation. A small chapel or oratory, its walls faintly adorned with painted scenes, reminds us of the spiritual dimensions that shaped everyday routines. Imagine walking through these spaces, the sunlight shifting gently through openings in stone walls, illuminating faded artwork, the faint scent of herbs and candle wax mingling in the cool air. Even the silence carries meaning, a testimony to thought, devotion, and quiet artistry. Mystery is also woven into the gaps between what remains and what is lost. Some chambers may have been hidden deliberately, passages obscured, stairways bricked up, leaving only faint traces for those who seek them centuries later. The archaeologist's tools trace patterns in dust and rubble, revealing the careful architecture of secrecy and utility. Imagine discovering a hidden alcove, perhaps once used for private reflection or storage. Its entrance now partially collapsed, light filtering through cracks to illuminate a corner long untouched. The sense of quiet mystery is profound, the imagination invited to fill in the soft spaces between fact and conjecture. Even inscriptions on stone would offer subtle clues. Faded letters carved into beams or lintels hint at names, prayers, or events, their meanings partially obscured by time, but still gently whispering of human presence. Each mark, each stroke, carries the tactile intimacy of its creator, a delicate bridge across centuries. Picture yourself running your fingers lightly along the edge of a carved stone, feeling the faint grooves and imagining the careful hand that made them, the quiet intention behind every etched line. Through these remnants of the past, a vivid yet gentle picture emerges, of human lives moving with rhythm and purpose, of culture expressed through art, ritual, and domestic life, and of mysteries patiently awaiting discovery. In the quiet attentiveness of archaeology, we encounter the subtle beauty of everyday medieval existence, the soft cadence of creation and reflection, and the peaceful resonance of time itself. As you listen, let these delicate discoveries and gentle mysteries guide your mind into calm contemplation, allowing the echoes of centuries past to settle softly alongside your own thoughts, lulling you ever closer to a serene rest.
As the quiet of medieval ruins stretches before us, let us now focus on the subtler mysteries of daily life and culture, those delicate traces that archaeology reveals and history whispers softly to those who listen closely. Imagine yourself walking through a partially restored great hall, sunlight filtering through high windows, dust motes drifting lazily in the beams. The stones beneath your feet are worn smooth by centuries of footsteps, yet their texture carries the story of countless lives moving through measured rhythms, each step a part of the unhurried cadence of daily existence. Within these walls, fragments of domestic life remain. A fragment of a wooden spoon worn by repeated use, a chipped mug, its handle smoothed by decades of hands, a small, faded textile embroidered with a motif now difficult to discern. These humble artifacts, though unassuming, speak of the ordinary yet essential rituals of nourishment, work, and comfort. Imagine leaning closer to examine the intricate stitching of a faded cloth, feeling the gentle artistry of a hand that no longer exists but whose touch resonates through time, a quiet bridge connecting past and present. Gardens and courtyards, carefully arranged, reveal the medieval understanding of both beauty and utility. Herb beds hint at culinary knowledge and subtle medicinal practices, while flowering plants speak of aesthetic care and contemplative leisure. The paths are worn, gently curved, guiding both movement and contemplation. Imagine walking slowly along these pathways, inhaling the faint fragrance of thyme or lavender, feeling the warmth of sun on stone walls, the soft brush of leaves against your fingertips, each detail inviting quiet reflection and calm. Art and decoration, too, speak softly across centuries. Frescoes, though faded, hint at scenes of devotion, daily work, and ceremonial life. Carved wooden panels, some damaged, still preserve delicate motifs, animals, and symbolic patterns. Even the simple marks left by artisans in the margins of manuscripts or on architectural elements offer a tactile intimacy that words alone cannot convey. Imagine your eyes tracing the faded outlines of a painted saint, the subtle strokes of color harmonizing with a muted stone, a whisper of devotion rendered in calm, enduring form. Mysteries, however, are not only in what survives but also in what remains hidden. Secret stairways, bricked-up chambers, and partially obscured passageways invite quiet speculation. What might these spaces have held? A small treasury, private quarters, or a place for reflection and prayer? Imagine carefully pushing aside a loose stone, revealing a narrow corridor, dust falling slowly in tiny motes, the air cool and still. The imagination bridges the centuries, allowing soft speculation while preserving the gentle rhythm of observation and thought. Even inscriptions, simple marks etched into stone or wood, carry a sense of human presence and mystery. Names, initials, or brief prayers scratched quietly into surfaces evoke private lives, intimate thoughts, and fleeting moments. Imagine leaning close to run your fingers over a carved symbol, feeling the texture, sensing the deliberate care behind each line. The act is meditative, a quiet interaction with history, allowing the mind to settle into gentle curiosity without urgency or excitement. Through these discoveries, the medieval world reveals itself not in grand spectacles alone, but in subtle traces of culture, devotion, and human presence. Each fragment, each faded motif, each hidden passage invites contemplation, revealing the quiet persistence of life through centuries. As you wander these halls and gardens in imagination, let the gentle cadence of discovery, the soft interplay of light and shadow, and the delicate intimacy of objects guide your mind toward calm, reflection, and rest. In this space of mystery and archaeology, history becomes both tangible and tranquil. The castle, the garden, the hidden corners, and the smallest artifacts all merge into a tapestry of soft, enduring rhythm. Allow yourself to drift alongside these gentle whispers of the past, feeling the quiet weight of time settle around you, easing your mind into a serene stillness, ready for the gentle transition into evening reflection and rest. As we wander further into the quiet mysteries of medieval life, let us now explore the delicate interplay of daily practice, ritual, and culture that often leaves only subtle traces in stone, wood, and earth. Imagine yourself standing at the threshold of a small chapel within a castle ruin, its walls etched with faint frescoes, its floor worn smooth by centuries of footsteps. The air is cool and carries the faint scent of lingering incense, a whisper of devotion and ceremony that once filled the space with gentle rhythm and purpose. Within this sacred space, the subtle patterns of ritual reveal themselves. Candles, long since extinguished, once lined the walls, their wax slowly dripping over stone ledges. Altars, simple yet purposeful, held objects of devotion, carved wooden crosses, small bowls of oil, and delicate manuscripts. Imagine tracing your eyes across these objects, noting their quiet symmetry and the faint traces of care, each one a silent witness to the contemplative life of the castle's inhabitants. The sense of stillness is profound, the rhythm of centuries encapsulated in the hushed presence of these enduring objects. In adjacent living quarters, traces of domestic practice emerge with gentle clarity. Small cooking implements, carefully preserved in archaeological layers, suggest meals prepared with routine and care. Woven baskets, fragments of pottery, and utensils worn smooth by repeated handling evoke the tactile intimacy of human labor. Imagine lifting a small wooden spoon, feeling the smoothness worn by centuries of touch, sensing the rhythm of hands that moved carefully, deliberately, shaping sustenance and routine alike. Each object is a quiet marker of everyday life, unhurried yet persistent, grounding us in the soft continuity of time. Cultural practices, too, leave delicate imprints in the spaces and objects around us. Tapestries and embroidered textiles, though faded, depict scenes of celebration, devotion, and leisure. The threads, once vibrant, now subdued, weave a visual story of aesthetics, morality, and community. Imagine tracing the outlines of a small embroidered bird or a symbolic motif, imagining the patient hand that created it, the time and care invested in a quiet act of artistry. Each stroke, each knot, resonates softly, inviting reflection and calm appreciation. Mystery continues to play a gentle role, hidden within architectural choices and unmarked spaces. Secret compartments, bricked-up alcoves, and narrow stairways suggest private or protected practices, perhaps for meditation, storage, or ceremonial purposes. Imagine discovering a narrow, partially concealed stairway, dust motes suspended in a shaft of sunlight, the air cool and still, the imagination invited to fill in the soft details without rush or demand. The slow uncovering of these spaces mirrors the deliberate pace of reflection, aligning with the gentle cadence of the mind preparing for rest. Even the faintest inscriptions offer a connection to human presence across centuries. Carved initials, short prayers, or symbolic marks etched into wood and stone convey private thought, subtle devotion, or fleeting remembrance. Imagine gently brushing your hand across a carved lintel, feeling the faint grooves, imagining the hand that pressed the chisel or knife, and the quiet intention behind each mark. Each interaction with these remnants fosters a reflective, meditative state, allowing your attention to settle and your thoughts to drift with the soft currents of history. Through these subtle traces of ritual, domesticity, artistry, and secret spaces, the medieval world reveals a gentle rhythm, one that echoes softly in the chambers, corridors, and courtyards of the past. As you wander these imagined spaces, allow the tactile and visual details, the faint scents and quiet echoes, and the soft rhythm of human life to guide your thoughts into calm reflection. Let the gentle mysteries of castles, chapels, and hidden corners carry you into a sense of serene continuity, where time slows and history whispers softly, easing your mind toward a quiet, restful state. In these moments, history becomes a companion to contemplation and sleep. The slow revelation of artifacts, the delicate interplay of culture and ritual, and the intimate traces of human presence invite your mind to settle, to reflect gently, and to drift alongside the centuries. Here, in the calm embrace of discovery, even the mysteries of medieval life feel soft, deliberate, and unhurried, guiding both imagination and consciousness toward tranquility. As we transition from the quiet mysteries of medieval ruins and ritual, let us now observe the contrasting rhythms of daily life among the elite and common folk. Imagine yourself stepping into a bustling manor at sunrise, where the first light streams through narrow windows, illuminating polished wooden floors and tapestries heavy with embroidery. The air is filled with the gentle hum of activity, servants preparing chambers, the soft clatter of dishes in the kitchen, and the faint murmur of voices speaking in calm, measured tones. Each sound, though part of a busier scene, carries a subdued, almost meditative quality, echoing the orderly life of the upper class. In the noble household, the morning begins with deliberate routines. Attendants move quietly to draw water from a stone basin, lay out garments, and prepare simple meals. The noble family members rise slowly, engaging in careful grooming rituals. Imagine the soft brush of hair, the gentle smoothing of linen, the subtle fragrance of oils and herbs filling the chamber. Even in a household of privilege, the rhythm is defined by attention, ritual, and small, purposeful actions that mark the passage from night to day. Meals for the elite, though more varied and abundant than for common folk, follow a calm cadence. Bread, cheese, fruit, and occasionally roasted meat are served on wooden platters. The clink of utensils is soft, the movements deliberate, the conversation restrained. Imagine observing a breakfast quietly shared by a noble family, the sunlight striking the polished surfaces, the gentle sway of fabric as they move, the subtle fragrance of baked bread and fresh herbs mingling in the cool morning air. Even abundance is tempered by measured attention, and each act, though comfortable, carries a sense of mindful order. Education and leisure occupy much of the day for elite children and young nobles. Lessons in reading, arithmetic, and etiquette are conducted in serene chambers, where teachers speak softly, and students respond with careful attention. Imagine a small group of children sitting cross-legged on woven mats, parchment and quills in hand, the teacher's voice calm, deliberate, guiding their thoughts gently. Outside the windows, the courtyard offers glimpses of structured gardens, paths lined with trimmed hedges, fountains trickling with soft water, and birds nesting quietly, all reinforcing a rhythm of cultivated calm and reflection. The contrast with commoners' lives is subtle but telling. While nobles enjoy ritualized leisure, labor among the lower classes is also defined by rhythm and routine. Farmers and artisans rise early to tend fields or workshops, their movements deliberate, methodical, and shaped by the passage of day and season. Imagine a blacksmith in the morning light, hammering slowly on an anvil, each strike measured and purposeful, the heat of the forge balanced by careful attention, or a weaver moving hands across threads with steady precision. These daily patterns, though dictated by necessity rather than privilege, share a quiet meditation in repetition, a gentle cadence connecting past and present. Evenings in noble households bring soft reflection and entertainment. Music, storytelling, and small gatherings occur in warm, candlelit chambers. Imagine a harpist plucking gentle notes, nobles reclining on cushions, a faint scent of incense drifting through the air, and shadows dancing across walls adorned with paintings and tapestries. Conversations are subdued, stories told with gentle pauses, laughter soft and contained, the rhythm of life slowing as the day draws to a peaceful close. The interplay of light, texture, and sound creates an enveloping calm, one that contrasts with the external world yet resonates with the steady pulse of human life. By observing both elite and common life in tandem, we see a rich tapestry of rhythms, patterns, and textures. Privilege and labor, leisure and duty, ritual and necessity, each contributes to the subtle orchestration of medieval existence. Imagine yourself moving between these spaces, absorbing the textures, sounds, and scents, and noticing the quiet harmony that underlies both opulence and toil. The contrasts, rather than disrupting calm, gently under the richness of human life, its ordered beauty, and the soothing consistency of routine across social divides. As we continue our gentle exploration of contrasting daily life in medieval society, let us move from the structured routines of noble households to the softer, subtler details that mark the lives of artisans, merchants, and villagers. Imagine yourself stepping into a quiet village at dawn, mist hovering over cobblestone streets, the air cool and slightly damp with the residue of night. Smoke curls lazily from chimneys, carrying the faint aroma of burning wood and freshly baked bread. The rhythm of village life begins slowly, measured by the first soft movements of those who awaken to care for hearth, livestock, and craft. In the workshop of a village blacksmith, the morning light filters through small windows, illuminating the metal tools and half-finished pieces arranged carefully on workbenches. The blacksmith moves deliberately, tending coals, shaping metal, the rhythmic sound of hammer on iron echoing softly through the quiet streets. Imagine standing near the doorway, observing the precision of his hands, the subtle glow of the forge reflecting off polished surfaces, and the calm repetition of each movement. There is an elegance in this labor, a quiet meditation embedded in centuries of learned skill. Meanwhile, in a nearby bakery, the kneading of dough is slow and purposeful. Hands dusted with flour press and fold, shaping bread for the day ahead. The smell of yeast and warmth rises gently, mingling with the cool morning air. Imagine the tactile sensation of flour between fingers, the soft give of dough under careful pressure, and the steady, soothing rhythm of preparation that underpins daily life. Even labor, though demanding, carries its own gentle order, a measured repetition that resonates quietly with the human need for routine and stability. Merchants prepare for their day with careful attention, arranging wares in modest stalls, polishing goods, and greeting neighbors with soft, courteous words. The market, though awakening slowly, is a place of soft color and texture. Woven baskets filled with fruit, smooth pottery, carefully crafted wooden items, and the faint glimmer of metal coins changing hands. Imagine wandering along these stalls, taking in the colors, smells, and muted activity. The environment calm despite its functional bustle, each gesture deliberate, a rhythm of trade and quiet social interaction. In the homes of villagers, domestic life is equally deliberate. Women and men tend gardens, cook meals, and care for children with measured attention. The scent of herbs, the sound of water flowing from a well, and the gentle hum of conversation create a comforting backdrop. Imagine observing a family at dawn, a mother bending to gather fresh herbs, a child following carefully behind, the father moving with steady purpose to secure tools or prepare the fire. Each movement contributes to a tapestry of calm, ordinary life, a gentle reflection of the broader societal rhythm. As evening approaches, both village and noble life transition into softer, reflective moments. The sun dips lower, casting long shadows across cobblestone streets and polished floors alike. Candles are lit, fires stoked, and conversations become quieter, stories told in soft tones. Imagine the warmth of firelight flickering across faces, the faint aroma of evening meals mingling with the cool night air, and the subtle cadence of footsteps along hallways or village lanes. Even the contrasts of social status, labor, and privilege merge into a shared rhythm of human presence, a quiet harmony that resonates across the medieval world. Through this gentle observation of contrasting daily life, we see a world defined by rhythm, care, and continuity. From nobles reclining in quiet chambers to artisans shaping tools with precision, from merchants arranging wares to villagers tending hearth and garden, each movement, each gesture, and each repetition forms a soft, enduring pattern. Imagine yourself moving through these spaces in quiet reflection, absorbing the textures, scents, and sounds, letting the gentle pulse of medieval life guide your thoughts into calm contemplation and serene rest. As the day progresses and evening approaches, the subtle contrasts between social classes in medieval life take on a softer, more reflective quality. Imagine yourself standing on a gently sloping hillside, overlooking both a bustling village and the distant spires of a noble manor. The sunlight now has a golden hue, falling softly on tiled roofs, garden hedges, and cobblestone streets alike. The rhythm of life begins to slow, a gradual winding down that marks the end of day and the gentle approach of night. In the manor, evening routines are deliberate and measured. Servants move quietly to prepare the chambers, arranging bedding and lighting candles, ensuring the spaces are warm and welcoming. Nobles may take time for reflection, reading quietly by candlelight or attending brief, soft-spoken discussions with advisors or family members. Imagine the glow of candle flames flickering across richly embroidered tapestries, the faint scent of incense and beeswax filling the air, and the hushed murmur of voices blending with the quiet rhythm of the evening. Even in these spaces of privilege, the day concludes in calm, mindful gestures, each movement considered and unhurried. In contrast, the village settles into its own slower rhythm. Smoke drifts lazily from chimneys, lanterns are lit to guide the return of weary workers, and the evening air is filled with subtle domestic sounds. The clink of a ladle against a pot, a soft greeting between neighbors, the gentle laughter of children playing until their parents call them indoors. Imagine walking along narrow lanes, feeling the coolness of stone beneath your feet, inhaling the faint aroma of evening meals, and witnessing the soft choreography of daily life winding down. Even work that defined the day now contributes to a pattern of tranquility, a transition from activity to reflection. Education and entertainment continue to play a subtle role in both social spheres. In noble households, children may practice music softly, or adults engage in quiet reading or storytelling. In villages, simple games or oral stories may carry on under fading light. Imagine a soft harp melody drifting through a manor, or the gentle laughter of a child chasing a small wooden hoop along the village lane, each sound carrying a rhythmic, calming energy that encourages the mind to rest. Both elite and common households share this gentle engagement with culture, though expressed differently, yet equally soothing. Food preparation and consumption also mark this transition from day to evening. In the manor, a final meal may be laid out with quiet ceremony, eaten in subdued conversation. In the village, families gather around hearth fires, the aroma of baked bread, stewed vegetables, and freshly churned butter rising gently in the cool air. Imagine the tactile sensations of bread breaking softly in hand, the warmth of a fire radiating across stone floors, and the peaceful hum of voices around a modest table. These small acts, though ordinary, reinforce the rhythms of human presence and the comforting consistency of daily life. As darkness falls, the interplay of light and shadow enhances the sense of calm across all spaces. Candlelight flickers against stone walls and wooden beams, firelight glows in hearths, and moonlight softens the edges of rooftops and gardens. The visual textures, combined with subtle sounds and scents, create an enveloping serenity that links both the lives of the elite and the commoners. Imagine letting your eyes drift across these gentle contrasts. The polished floors of a manor, the worn cobbles of a village lane, the soft glimmer of candle flames mirrored in glass or metal, and the quiet reflection of human rhythm across centuries. Through these moments, the medieval world reveals itself as a carefully balanced interplay of privilege, labor, ritual, and leisure. Each gesture, each movement, and each repetition contributes to a soft, enduring pattern, linking generations and social classes through the gentle cadence of everyday life. Allow yourself to absorb these details, to move slowly through these imagined spaces, and to feel the calm pulse of history settling gently around you. The contrasts, rather than stirring restlessness, enhance appreciation for continuity, rhythm, and the soothing constancy of human existence. As we slowly draw our journey through the medieval world to a close, let us pause to reflect on the rhythms, routines, and whispers of lives long past. Imagine yourself reclining gently, the flicker of candlelight softening into the quiet shadows of evening, your mind wandering through halls, streets, and gardens illuminated only by memory and imagination. From the quiet chambers of kings and nobles to the modest homes and workshops of villagers, every life we observed shared a common rhythm, a gentle cadence that carried the weight of daily tasks, devotion, and quiet reflection. History, when approached with patience and gentle attention, reveals itself not merely as events, battles, or political intrigue, but as the soft tapestry of human existence, woven from moments of care, repetition, and subtle artistry. Imagine the echoes of footsteps across stone floors, the faint aroma of herbs and hearth fires, the muted laughter of children, and the soft music of lutes and harps drifting through open windows. Each sensation is a thread connecting us to those who came before, a bridge across centuries that is felt more than it is seen. Even the mysteries, the hidden alcoves, secret stairways, and partially crumbled ruins, offer a calming invitation. They remind us that life is both known and unknown, that curiosity and reflection can coexist with peace and stillness. The quiet uncovering of artifacts, the careful brushing away of dust, and the gentle observation of daily life all offer meditation in motion, a soft cadence that mirrors the steady rhythm of breath, the slow passing of time, and the comforting constancy of the natural world. Now, as you settle into your own evening, allow these scenes to fade gently into your mind, the details of medieval life blending softly with your thoughts. Let the glow of imagined candlelight, the soft murmur of voices, and the serene movement of daily routines guide you toward stillness. The past, in its enduring calm, offers both reflection and release, encouraging your mind to drift, to relax, and to rest. If this kind of gentle, soft-spoken storytelling has brought you a sense of calm, feel free to like the video and subscribe, but only if it truly soothes your mind. Let me know in the comments where you are listening from and what time it is. It is oddly comforting to imagine others, somewhere, drifting into sleep alongside the same quiet stories. Dim your lights, feel the rhythm of human life across centuries, and let history whisper softly, guiding you into a night of serene, restful slumber. From kings to commoners, from mysteries to quiet routines, the medieval world offers us a lullaby. And now it is time to close your eyes and let the past cradle you gently into sleep.